Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. We have several people in the audience already, and I have as my guest the one and only Oz. Thank you for coming, Oz.
What's up, Godless? Greeting everybody in the chat. Thanks for having me. This is going to it's an important topic. I think this is going to be a great conversation. So I've been looking forward to this.
Yeah, I never thought of this, and yet it is the perfect conversation, especially for where I personally am at this moment. And I'll get to that in a bit. But first, I want to say hello to everyone in the chat. Just in case was here first, although he said he needed to get to bed, which I understand. He said he walked 1 mile to and from getting a COVID shot and now needs to get to bed. Black Female Atheist is in the chat, and Black Female Atheist will be on soon. We haven't worked out a date, but she will be on soon. We have the Blazing Wizard Pope, Ox, and Purple Rhymes with Orange, John Christian, Atheist Mo, Mr. Shadow Kitty, and God equals the square root of -1. Thank you all for coming and joining us. Yeah, today's topic is navigating life through the land of Oz with no one other than himself, Oz.
All the Yellow Brick Road, right?
Yes, yes, follow the yellow brick road. That is definitely an advantage. Oh, and hello, Shane Billowitz. And hello to, I'm not sure how to say this, Kakuzado? Kakuzado? And Chem Panda. Oh, and Skits Crusher. Sorry, Skits Crusher, I didn't see you there for a moment. Okay, one advantage that the Christian church has over the atheist community is community. They have a built-in fellowship of people to support you when you are going through a tough time. And especially over the last couple of years, there have been tough times. Oz and I have both lost a parent in the last year. And so that is one of the things that we have in common and that we are both kind of uh, going through at the same time. And so, Oz, I'm going to let you take it away and tell us a little bit about what are some of the things that you are currently dealing with, and the issues that made the holiday season difficult, and how are you dealing with them?
Um, yeah, thank you again. And where do I even start unpacking this? Well, one, I'm glad to be done with the Christmas and the holidays. With it being the the first, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year, all that my mom wasn't, not being here. So I guess we'll just stick to the last 6 months. It's been quite the roller coaster ride. But in mid July, my mom had was taken by via ambulance to the hospital. My stepdad, nobody really knew what happened, what was going on. He was in the living room and went to the bedroom, and she was unresponsive. Long story short, it was about 2 weeks later we ended up having to decide to pull the plugs, and she passed. It was 31st of July, and so that in and of itself, um, obviously losing your mother, there's really no way to describe that, and the feelings. But that that in of itself was shook me to my core because my mom was very young. She had me very young, and so that was incredibly difficult. And then watching my kids lose their grandma, you know, um, was probably equally as painful for me as a father because of how close I am to my grandparents, and I wanted that for my kids. And then to double down on that, um, the way I was treated um, by my family that are all they're I want to be careful now. 98% of them are fundamentalist, charismatic Christians, and the the whole process of leading up to pulling the plug through the um, preparing for the funeral and all that, the treatment or mistreatment, I should probably say, was disgusting, simply because um, we don't agree on a deity, and to give you a little detail, because it's kind of a broad description. Like every single day when she was in the hospital, they were playing praise and worship music, and you know,
Mm.
oil all over the hospital room. And if the doctor said anything, it was, well, that doctor is, a pessimist, or this doctor is just no. They're telling the truth. They're telling the truth, and you don't want to accept the truth. And,
Was your mom a believer?
oh yeah, oh yeah.
Okay.
Um, and Aunt Kathy and I the entire time was like, because it also hurt to watch them almost try to placebo their way out of the raw feelings and the raw emotions, going through all that. Um, and it got so bad up there when I won't say who it was, but part of the extended family. It was the day before, we had decided to. Um, oh, the next day would have been the day that we were pulling the plug, and I had finally got some time to be in there, um, with my mom by myself, and I'm the firstborn. I was her first baby, and I told him I was like, I want for my closure, I want some of this time, and one of the family members came in there, and I didn't even pay attention to who it was. I didn't even look up. I had my face buried in my arm, and was just chilling with my mom, knowing that it was probably going to be the last time, you know, um, to be able to do that. And this particular family member came in after being there for five maybe 10 minutes, something like that, and literally started to prophesy to me
Mm.
and tell me that um, I have allowed my heart to harden, and that God's still there and wants to love me and wants to fix me and heal me, and whew, man, oh my god, it took everything inside of me. I mean, I still had words, but it took everything inside of me to not humiliate her, myself, and everybody, that was in and around that room. Uh,
Would it be acceptable to say something like, "Well, when God shows up, I'll let him do that"?
um, yeah, if my skeptical brain, that part of my brain was working in that moment, absolutely.
I
Uh,
totally get that. Yeah. Yeah. I can't think of those kinds of things in the moment either. I'm always kicking myself the day after because that's when I think of those kinds of things. Yeah, I totally get that.
yeah, no, my response was very simple, but I could tell it punched the person right in the gut, because I finally looked up and made eye contact, and I was like, "Right here, right now, you thought this was the best time, and you thought this was the best place to deliver that message."
Mhm.
And they, they look like Casper the Ghost, when I called him out, and so there was that, and then through the funeral, this is the part that really fucked me up for a while. I I didn't even know there was a funeral scheduled until I saw Aunt Kathy post it on Facebook. Um, and then
That's what I'm dealing with right now.
yeah, and I'm sorry because I know firsthand that fucking sucks. And tell me if I can't say fuck because that's like one of my favorite
No,
words.
you say whatever you wanna say. This stream is free and you're opening up the doors for me to say some things that I've wanted to say for a long time and I haven't been able to. So
Okay,
you go ahead and say whatever you wanna say.
okay, yeah, and you jump in whenever you want as well. Uh, yeah, so there's that. I didn't know about that until Facebook, and I reached out to Aunt Kathy. I was like, um, I feel like as the firstborn, maybe I should have known about this and found this information out other than Facebook.
Who made the arrangements? Her husband?
And my brother, the pastor, um, uh, which I don't. For the record, I don't hold my stepdad accountable for much anything as far as things slipping through the cracks. he loved my mom dearly went through a lot with my mom, and he was in another galaxy, going through that. So I hold him, I don't probably for nothing, to be honest. I put it on, my brother and sister-in-law and the ones that were in a place where they could handle that communication. But so there's that, and then next Thursday, um, yeah, that next Thursday, it's I want to say it was like either 12 or 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and Aunt Kathy texted me, and she said, "Hey nephew, I'm learning through this process to not assume that they're communicating to you. Um, are you aware of the family only viewing tonight?" And I was like, or this afternoon, I was like, nope. What time is it? And she was like, it was at 1 o'clock. She called or texted me, uh, and she's like, well, I think it was starts at 1:30 or starts at 2 o'clock, and it was only for like a half hour, 45 minutes. And I was like, oh, so by the time I get dressed and drive all the way across town where it's at, I don't even know if I'll get there in time. I mean, I still went, but I got there, and I remember I walked straight through the entrance. A couple people tried to stop me, and I literally threw them off my arm. Like I didn't want to. Like, I don't want to talk to you assholes. Don't say a word to me, because if somebody says something stupid, I v- may very well punch somebody in the mouth today. Like that. This is now
Mhm.
two very, very important things that I'm not even been made aware of. Nobody's even let me know. And then they, for whatever reason, had 3 viewings on Friday night, and I didn't go to those because, again, the thought of trying to sit there and pretend, like I wanna be around all these people, I just couldn't do it. And then finally, um, the funeral service was like well, I disassociated 2 times. I didn't even know what that, I mean, I knew what it was, but I didn't know what that was. I didn't know what it felt like. I didn't know until after that day, and my therapist walked me through it. It was like, "No, this is what happened, um, and this is how traumatic this was for you," and, um, so I walked through the doors. It's at my brother's church. I walked through the doors, and I can close my eyes and remember it like it was yesterday. Walked through the doors, and there was a welcome table, and on the right-hand side, they got a big bucket where you can give money, and guess where the money goes? My brother's church. Um,
Mhm.
and then to the left, was like, the sign-in book or whatever, and then in the middle, they had this big, like, bulletin board with family pictures and pictures of mom and all that, and I literally I remember go up, and I'm scanning, and I'm scanning.
And you're not in any of them.
Yeah, I almost passed out. I could not believe what I was looking at, and uh I'm not a fragile guy. I'm not a, you know, um, brittle-minded, individual. I'm, usually very mentally tough and all that, but that one hurt. That one fucking hurt, and I was sitting there, and I remember looking, um, at Tia, and I was like, "Is this real life? Like, is this happening right now?" And I almost felt like the quote unquote like the outer body type thing where it was like I know I'm here, but I feel like I'm not here. Like there's no, this has to be a dream, and I literally I had to go sit down. I had to go sit down, and I sat there for a minute, and then they walking into the auditorium, where the obviously where the funeral would take place. Uh, there was a line of more of these bulletin boards that Tia went through and counted, and there was like 3, I can't remember what she said now, but 3 or 400 pictures. I was on one, and it was one where I was just kinda in the background, like, I wasn't even, like, with my mom, or I just happened to be in the background of the picture.
So there were no formal family portraits?
Not of me. Um, there's plenty of
Well,
other.
no, I meant a family portrait of the whole family.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Um, uh Yeah, and then so once so I went out, and I think I smoked like 4 cigarettes straight, faster than anybody could probably ever do it. But uh, I go back in, and uh, all my family's sitting up in the front row, um, which families usually do. And guess where my seat was? It was in the
Behind them.
No, not even that, I was in the very back row. Um, and I mean, it was it was all complete bullshit, and one of the only things that I really said to anybody, I know it's my brother, and I think I might have said it to 1 or 2 other people, but my brother for sure, is that, I know this is mom's funeral, and I want it to be what she.
No, no, that is absolutely wrong, and that is exactly the problem that I am having with my dad. It is not your mom's funeral. Yes, it is the funeral for your mom, but the funeral is for you and for the survivors. The purpose of the funeral is to bring together the survivors so that they can get some closure and get some time together and support one another. But it is not for the benefit of the person who died. They're dead, gone.
That's fair, I can't argue with that,
Mhm.
that's fair, um, let me,
I'm sorry, I threw you off.
no, 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 I know where it's at, because 'cause I'm trying to think how I would say, 'cause, um to rephrase it, because I still would want, even if this all of this didn't happen, I still would want there to be something that was kind of a tip of the cap or a salute to mom and what she was passionate about, or that kind of thing. But that be, all that said, I had brought it up to a couple people. Like I don't care what you do during the service, so to speak. I just I just want, I want to be able to say goodbye, do it in a healthy way, and I would really, really prefer it if we don't turn this into a church service. We can have the music. Mom was a musician. Like I don't give a shit about all that. Just I don't want altar calls, and I don't want all this shit. Like I had to go through years of therapy to move past all that, and I'm not trying to have it reintroduced at my own mom's funeral. Um, and the second time that and I'm almost done here, I promise. The second time that I had dissociated, the one of my biggest issues growing up, and one of the reasons I still go to therapy is abandonment issues from my mom, and uh, it. Oh my god, it was so fucking difficult because there's all these women on stage talking about how much time, because my mom oversaw music or women's ministry as well, and all this time that Sherry was given this time and given this time and given this time, and I keep hearing this, and I'm like, "Fuck, do you know that," and singing her praises like she's a saint, and my mom was a good woman, don't get me wrong, but that she had her flaws. She was human,
Mhm.
and 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 it was like each one was a dagger. Each one was another dagger. It was like, "Well, do you know the other side of that? Do you know that all that time that you got with that woman, she left me at home with a dad that was beating the shit out of me? Like, do you know the other side of that? Like, you may think that that's really cool. I don't think that's cool at all." Um, so is it that, and then our pastor, if anybody watches our channel, I do, I have like a little mini series I do. Let's talk to, let's talk, or let's hear from my former pastors, and I've done a few of his sermons and stuff. And he came, and as soon as he, I didn't even know he was doing a service, but as soon as he got up, I looked at my two cousins that are atheists, and they sat in the back row with me, and then Tia, and I said, I know this man like the back of my hand. As soon as he says this, or if he says this, I'm done. I have to leave. I can't do this anymore. And because I know that is his tagline, that's his setup for his altar call. And he does it, it's like clockwork. And I'm sitting there, and by this time, like, my anxiety's sky high, my heart's going 300 miles an hour, because I don't want to have to leave, but I know I can't stay.
An altar call at a funeral is so extremely inappropriate, it's incredible.
Yep. Yeah, well, he, yeah, well, I agree, for the record. And I'm sitting there, I've got my elbows on my knees, because I knew it was coming. As much as I did, I knew it was just, it wasn't if, it was when. And he gave his little tagline, and I looked at Tia, looked at my cousins. I was like, "Fuck this," and I said it loud enough to where, the at least a few rows around could,
Mhm.
could hear me. And I got up, and I got up, I left, and I walked out, and again, it was another one of those. Is this fucking happening, man? Like, what is going on, and, so all that, and then the final point, last one, no, it took me have contacting my, because I didn't go to I did not go to the grave site, like, I went home. I went the fuck home. Like, I couldn't, I literally could not do it, and nobody even cared to get me information, on where she was buried, anything like that, so I had to get a hold of Aunt Kathy, and, I was when I finally built up the, "Okay, I wanna go because I didn't get to be there, at the burial part of the service or whatever." It was like 45 minutes. I went to the, general area where Aunt Kathy tried to describe to me where it was at, and, this guy a guy walked up to me, ends up being the owner of the property, but he was like, "Are you looking for somebody in particular?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm just trying to find where my mom's buried. I just wanna know where my mom is buried." And, he was like, "Well, has it been within the last year?" And I said, "Well, it was just like 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago." And he was like, "Oh, what was the last time I gave it to him?" So he went and looked it up, and lo and behold, I was standing like, uh, 8 feet, 6, 8 feet from, from the site, uh, but it hit me when he walked away. I was like, "You assholes." Like, I didn't even I didn't know when the funeral was gonna be. I didn't know when the fucking visitations were gonna happen, and then you don't even let me know where my fucking mom's body's buried, and yes, she's dead, but it's still my goddamn mom, and
Mhm,
I
mhm.
like to go just for, memories or whatever, and so I can let my kids know where the fuck their grandma, you know, was buried, for the future and stuff. So, yeah, it was all, yeah, the whole thing from top to bottom, was fucked.
The one thing that I wish I could talk to your family and say, "Can you not see how disgusting your God is if your behavior is any kind of reflection of who your God is? If this is who your God is and this is how your God shows love, is it any wonder that I wouldn't want any part of it because you people are disgusting?"
Yeah. Well said, well said, and, yeah, if, yeah, there's that, and then, the other thing, whether, uh Granny, whether it be you or I or whoever that would unfortunately have to find themselves, in that situation. Oh, Auntjorda, thanks for reminding me. Yeah, they fucking live streamed it like she was Princess Diana. Um, uh,
Oh my god.
yeah, it was disgusting. Um, um, what was I gonna
Oh
say?
my
Oh,
god.
the
I don't even have a God, and I still that is that is fucking messed up.
yeah. Oh,
Wow,
I remember,
wow.
oh, it was because I remember, like, Aunt Kathy, I love her so much. She was, the whole time trying
I
to keep,
love her too. I love her too.
uh, she was the
Can I
only,
adopt her? She's my
absolutely,
Aunt Kathy too.
absolutely. That's what everybody was like, that's she's everybody's Aunt Kathy."
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, yeah, it's, the other thing I think about, even taking myself out of, or taking my situation, look at other, situation, whether it's, family loss or whatever it may be, where, religion and belief and lack of belief, cause this tension or this animosity, things like that. The other thing I always wonder is when you see the amount of pain and hurt and whatever, agony, whatever the word you want, when you see that, and your decisions, uh the way you're talking to or treating someone is what is causing that. Don't you want to be better than that? Like, as a Christian, like, don't you want to do better than that?
Exactly.
Like,
Exactly.
I don't
Yep.
understand.
Mhm, mhm. I have an aunt that died decades ago, and she and my uncle had divorced long before she died. And when she died, she specified that she did not want her ex-husband at her funeral. And I thought that that was incredibly selfish of her because I'm thinking when you die, your children have to deal with that. And to deprive your children of the company of their father at your death just because you didn't like him is incredibly selfish.
Yeah, and see, like that, I would agree with even more with what you said earlier, that, like, what's like, if it was me, I'm dead, I'm gone. What the fuck does it matter to me? You know, and
Mhm,
if that person being there is going to help the other people that I love, why the f
mhm.
why does it fucking matter to me?
I am going through some similar things, many of which are not as severe as yours, but religion is not a factor. Um, to start with, okay, my dad died just a couple weeks ago.
I'm sorry.
Um, but he was quite elderly. He's been ill for some time and not deathly ill. In fact, that was the one thing that was kind of odd is I talked to him just before Thanksgiving and everything seemed normal. The only thing was he was saying that he was tired and it was getting hard for him to cook for himself and his wife. And I know that his wife has severe fibromyalgia, and I was asking about how he was taking care of her and did they need some help? And he indicated that yes, they needed some help. And so I was starting to look into finding a social worker to help them navigate what Medicare would cover for a home health nurse and so forth. And then Thanksgiving came, and when I got back from Thanksgiving, I got a call from my younger brother who lives in the same town as my dad, telling me that in the past 2 weeks that my dad had gone downhill very rapidly, and he was not doing well at all, and I talked to my brother and to my sister, there's 4 of us, and my 2 brothers do not speak. Um, and my older brother is a pharmacist, and he does a lot of sales of goods to nursing homes, so he is used to being around elderly people and dying people. And so, not knowing very much about what my dad's condition was, and my brother being fairly wealthy, he just said, "I'm just gonna get on a plane tomorrow and go see dad and see how he's doing," because the big thing that concerned us was my younger brother took my dad to a doctor appointment, and he asked the doctor if he was going to make it to his next birthday, which was the 1st of January. And the doctor had said, "Oh, yeah, you shouldn't have any problem making it to the 1st of January." So we were planning a big birthday party for my dad, knowing that this was going to be his last birthday. But my brother got concerned and went out to see him, and when he did, he said, "Okay, yes, dad is in really bad condition, and he's been lying." He told me, "He's been lying to you. He is not taking care of his wife. His wife is taking care of him." Um, I found out that he'd been lying to me about a lot of things. Um, he said, "But he should be good to make it to his birthday, but if takes another turn for the worse, we may need to be ready to move quickly." And so that's what we were doing. And I called a restaurant and I was setting up this birthday party for him. And I was talking to him about who was all coming to the party. I have a daughter that lives just 3 hours from him and has 4 kids. And is it okay if she comes and brings her kids? The last time she had come down, he didn't want the kids in the house. They make too much noise. Um, the last time I came, he didn't want to see me either. So, it wasn't that big a surprise. Um, but then a couple days later, I get a text, not a phone call, a text telling me that my dad has passed away. Um, so I called my brother to find out what's going on, and he told me that dad had fallen. And we were kind of speculating, and we speculated that possibly his heart gave out, and that's what caused him to fall. That we really weren't sure whether the fall caused his death or the death caused his fall. So because of that, the medical examiner took his body. Now my dad remarried 5 years ago, and I really think that my dad's new wife was trying to drive a wedge between my dad and his kids, and tell him how much better her kids were. Um, and so I called her to find out what funeral home my dad was at, and she said she couldn't remember. But they were going to meet with her later that day, and she would call me back and let me know. She didn't. So I called the funeral homes in the city. It's not that big a city. And I knew my dad wanted to be cremated, so I started with the biggest one that advertised cremation services, and I guessed it right on the first one, and they told me that yes, they had my dad. Um, but when I asked when the cremation was scheduled for, they said that they were very sorry, but they can't release that information to anyone except the widow. I would need to get that information from the widow. Um, and of course, she wasn't telling me, so I started communicating with my sister and my older brother, and I found out that my sister knew when the cremation was, at least. I asked about doing an obituary, and my dad's widow said, well, he didn't want an obituary. I asked about a memorial service. He didn't want any kind of service. He didn't want anything. And so I asked, well, okay, what are you planning to do with his remains? And she did tell me what her plan was with his remains. And it just really smacks right back to when my mother died 7 years ago. Because when my mother died, now it wasn't quite as bad. We had a service, all of my mom's siblings came in addition to my siblings, and um, I was there for her cremation, although that I consider one of the biggest mistakes of my life. I wish I had not been there. I wish I could get that image out of my mind. But after she was cremated, my dad said he was going to throw her ashes into Flathead Lake. My mom grew up in Polson, Montana on Flathead Lake. It was one of the places that she enjoyed the most. And my dad also knew that I was already scheduled for major surgery. I was having scoliosis surgery in July, and that I would not be able to travel for 3 months following that surgery. So he decided that he was going to go scatter her ashes while I was recovering from surgery. And he told my siblings when he was going, and two of them had planned to come out with them, as well as my mom's brother. But then at the last minute, he changed his mind and decided to do it a week earlier. And so he went out by himself. And he gave us this big story about how, the people at the boat felt so sorry for him that he was out here all alone to scatter my mom's ashes. But they didn't get to hear the part of the story where he wouldn't let anyone come with him. Yeah. And so that was done. And I don't know. Um, yeah, the next thing that I wanted to know what was my dad's cause of death. And because I'm not getting any information, I went and searched the Wake County death records to find my own dad's death certificate to find out how my dad died,
Hey,
because no one will tell me.
yeah, that's bullshit. Yeah, I'm sorry. I hate that for you. That's bullshit. We shouldn't have to dig for immediate family, mom, dad, brother, sister, like that. We shouldn't have to fucking dig for information.
Mhm.
And the whole text thing, nah, nah, dog. You're better off not telling me. You're better off not telling me, because if you send me that in a text, I probably will lose my shit. I probably will lose my shit. You're better off just not telling me and let me find out on my own.
It took me over a week to realize how messed up that was. It at the time, it didn't faze me. But afterward, I'm going, "Why am I getting a text And I think he did it because he was able to tell myself, my sister, and my brother all at the same time because he did a group text to the 3 of us.
Oh, that's even worse. That's even worse to me. Like,
Mhm.
are you lazy or like this is a like a monumental like when you lose a parent, especially if you had a relationship, it didn't have to be great, but at least had a decent relationship. It's still your mom or still your dad. Like you don't you take the time and make the calls, bro. Like stop what you're doing. Like that shit matters. That shit's important. Oh
Mhm.
yeah, yeah. If my brother did that, I'd been like, bro, you should have just because you shouldn't even told me. Next time I see you, I'm literally gonna fucking choke you.
Well, I'm 5'1" and my brother's 6'4". I don't think I could even reach his throat if I tried.
Granny, my dad, I'm a giant in my family. I come from a very short family, and he always said, "The bigger they are, the harder they fall."
I don't look like I belong in my family, because I'm short and everybody else is tall. I know part of that is because my grandmother was short, and so there's a couple short people, but we're the exception to the rule. But the other thing is my spine, because my spine is rather severely deformed. I probably would be about 5'5" if my spine was not so crooked.
Mm. Yeah, that's but, I didn't know all that about your story either, Granny, so I'm
Well,
sorry
it's
to
only happened in the last couple of weeks, and I have not streamed in the last couple of weeks because I just haven't felt like it. And I mentioned this to Oz, even before we came on, that I've kind of been in hiding. I have not been listening to other people's streams, and I really should because I really need y'all right now. And it's my own damn fault for hiding from you when I need you the most.
Yeah, by all means, and anytime, Granny, if we're doing a live stream and you just need company and hang out with, friends, by all means, just message me, and you can come on anytime. You're welcome to hang out with us anytime, and yeah, when we were talking about that backstage and there's no right or wrong, right? And how we cope as long as we're doing the best we can to remain healthy, and and Granny, you talked about, you've kind of pulled back or, taking whether it was intentional or not, kind of taking a break, where, those that are watch the Tang channel a lot. I go into, if there's only 5 gears, I go to 7th, where it's like, "Ah,
Mm.
do this,"
Mhm.
because it distracts me, and it keeps my mind off of it, and I can talk about things that I'm passionate about and I enjoy instead of my brain going to all the bullshit, and but like I said, there's no right or wrong as long as it's healthy, as long as people are
Mhm.
healthy, so.
I've been hanging out playing Red Dead Redemption.
Oh, yeah, so you're doing something fun, okay.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I have learned so much from that game, it's absolutely incredible. I now can tell the difference between a fox and a coyote, and I never could before, and I now know when to use a rifle and when to use a shotgun. I didn't know that before. I hate guns. I fired a rifle when I was 12. And I do not know why my dad, my brother, who are both left-handed like me, did not figure out that the reason that I hated the rifle was because the shell was burning my arm every time I pulled the trigger. And
Ah,
that's why I can't stand it.
makes perfect sense. Yeah, mine, whether it's, live streaming or, and I even, this is a whole nother conversation, but yeah, I even, will do certain streams or whatever on YouTube with this with my music 'cause, I write and I DJ and I do all that. Um, and a part of that, but the reason I do some of it on YouTube is also I think that's element to normalizing atheism, where, whether it's somebody maybe new to the atheist or skeptic community or even other Christians that see it, they see that, oh, like, they do have other passions or hobbies or whatever, other than just hating God and loving sin. That
Mhm.
they do have these other things, that they do enjoy, uh, and it's fun to do it. It's fun to do it and hang out and talk to and with your friends while you do something that you fucking love, and,
Mhm,
um,
mhm.
I think most of us, enjoy, not everybody, but most of us enjoy music, and I try to switch it up, whether it's, I'm a hip hop head, but, like, I'll do that, and I'll incorporate, Michael Jackson and, some Ray Charles and, stuff like that where, at least a little bit of everybody can, at least appreciate it, but, yeah, but again, trying to find the ways to do it, and it's healthy, and it's not causing, uh, more issues mentally or emotionally.
Right, right. The other thing is we did go to Virginia to go see my daughter and her children, and we got a really pleasant surprise with that because my daughter is a very religious person, and as is her, the rest of her family. And my son Robin is transgender, and Robin has not seen his sister in about 4 years, and they haven't spoken in about 4 years, and we really were not sure how it was going to be, and we were very pleasantly surprised that
Awesome.
not only was my daughter willing to accept that Robin is who he says he is, but Robin even I mean, Sher my oldest daughter even instructed her children to refer to Robin with male pronouns, which was really very, very pleasant.
Oh, that I mean, that's actually, considering everything else you're dealing with, that's actually great news.
Mhm, mhm, it was. Now the big secret that I'm going to reveal, that I alluded to a little bit earlier,
Okay.
and I've never been able to speak of this as long as my dad was alive, but now that he isn't, I can say it. But I am fairly certain that my dad killed my mother. Um, Part of the reason that I've kept quiet about it is because I really think it was my mother's wishes. My mother was in a permanent vegetative state, and she had told me on more than one occasion once before she had cancer and once while she had cancer, that if she was ever in a permanent vegetative state, that she would not want to remain that way. But the night that she died, there were so many weird things that happened. The biggest one being, my mom was in a hospice, an inpatient hospice, and we knew that she was very close to the end. And at least two of her siblings and all of my siblings were all there, spending some time with her. And we were taking turns spending the night with her, and I was going to spend that night with her. And my dad insisted that no, he wanted that time alone. And my niece arrived that night, and she was only going to be there for one day, and she had to go back to class. She was in college at the time. And so we brought my niece to my dad to be able to say goodbye to my mother and to spend a little time with him. He had a fit and told her to leave. Told her, and told all of us to get out, that he wanted private time with my mom and no one else was permitted to be there. And so we all left, and I went back to my dad's house where my husband and I were staying. And about 2 hours later, my dad shows up. And we're going, "What what was this big deal about I want private time if you're not even going to be there?" Um, and then in the morning, we were told that my mom had died. And so we've always suspected that my dad may have had something to do with it. Although there's never been any proof. There's no evidence. So that's that.
Wow. And as far as the coroner's report, the final.
There was no coroner's report. That was the biggest clue that my dad had something to do with it, is because they said they were going to take her to the coroner and do an autopsy, and my dad freaked out and said he did not want an autopsy. And they relented and said, okay, she was in a permanent vegetative state. She was expected to die at any time. We won't do an autopsy. But yeah, he freaked out when they wanted to do an autopsy.
Yeah, my dad's been in the mortuary business for mine since I was born, so my entire life. Yeah, had she not been in that state, there's no way that would have ever just slipped by and not been an autopsy. Like
Mhm.
that's crazy.
I want to address what Beej said, that I could be held for aiding or abetting. No, because I didn't know anything in advance. I didn't know anything until after the fact. Yeah, I could have covered up a crime by not reporting it, but I also had no evidence. I could have taken my concerns to the police, but there was absolutely no evidence, so there really wasn't anything.
Yeah, well, first I'd say again, Granny, I'm sorry to hear all of that, and then that's why. Well, we'll get to the community part here in a minute. I'm sorry going through all that. Um, it there's really no other thing for any of us to say to each other other than to try to love and support and be there, and just validate that it fucking sucks, man. It fucking sucks. Like that helped me more than anything. It was just hearing people validate that yes, this is real and this fucking sucks. This is real life and it's happening. Um, and if it's okay with you, I was going to share one more thing, and then we can go whatever. Your show, your ship. You tell me where to go, but I wanted to make sure that I did share this because it's just in 6 months. Um, if there's any time that I was going to run back to Jesus and run back to God, it would have been the last 6 months. Like it would have. And another funny side note of my mom's funeral is it got back to me after the fact that they had several like prayer chains going on during the funeral for my conversion, my reconversion, whatever the fuck they want to do, rededication or whatever. I'm like, you guys, you fuckers are sick. You're sick. I'm here to say goodbye to my mom and mourn the loss of my mom, and you're worried about praying for me for a salvation or whatever, instead of just talking to me and say, "Hey, how you doing, Oz? How you feeling, Oz? Anything we do to help? Like this sucks." No, not one time, not ever. But you'll start a fucking prayer chain? Man, get the fuck out of here. Anyway, um, December 7th was or would have been my mom's birthday. Uh,
Mm.
so, like I said, July 31st was her like the actual date of her death. Even though really from the time she went in the hospital, she was gone. She was just still breathing. Then on and a few people in the community know this. I made kind of a brief announcement on our channel a couple of nights ago, uh, but it definitely feeds or contributes to this conversation. On the 7th, so it would have been again my mom's first birthday not being here. Tia, or what the community, how they knew her, Mrs. Oz. Let's just say she's no longer Mrs. Oz. She came home, and it was one of those. And it's not that I owe anybody the story or anything, but it's just part of my last 6 months, and I've always been an open book and transparent. So it is what it is. I was standing outside the garage smoking a cigarette. She came home and walked up to me, and she was like, "I want a divorce. I'm going to file for a divorce, and I'm going to ask that you leave today, so that it's not any more difficult or any more weird for us." And I literally I had no words. I didn't even know what to say. I'm like, "Huh? What? What? What happened? What happened? I don't even know what you're talking about right now."
On
Um,
top of all the other things that you're dealing with.
yeah, with everything else, and she did it. There was probably 2 days on the calendar that you don't do that, and that's my mom's birthday or the anniversary of her death. It,
Mhm.
it's any other the 363 days of the year. Fucking do it, right? And but yeah, um, so there was that, and of course, I've everybody asking, "Oh, hope you're okay." And when I share this part, please don't take this as I'm being cold hearted, because I'm not. I have nothing negative or bad to say about that woman at all, and I won't. I refuse to do it. And even if I did, I wouldn't do it publicly. I would never try to humiliate her, or um, tarnish her and her name or anything like that. Uh, but I've told people it's not that I'm cold hearted. It's not that I don't care. It's not. But compared to what I just went through just months ago with my family and all that shit with my mom, it sounds cold hearted, but it pales in comparison. Like it sting like you would think it would sting. It doesn't sting like most people would think your spouse. Um, I'm gonna file for a divorce would sting, because like I have so much other shit that I'm dealing with and going to therapy for. It's like somebody telling me that they don't want me in their life actually doesn't even hurt that bad right now.
Mhm,
You know?
mhm.
And again, I'm not trying to be an asshole, but that's just where emotionally, mentally, it's where I'm at. It's like, cool, you don't want me in your life. I don't have the bandwidth to fight to be in somebody's life that doesn't want me in their life. So I'll collect my shit and I'll go. And the best of luck to you. I hope life treats you well. Yeah, I wanted to make sure that I added that, because so lose mom, all the shit with the family, and now it's more of the legal shit and the paperwork, um, and dealing with that, which is stressful, and there's pressure there getting all that lined up, but yes, it's been a fucked up 6 months, Granny.
And then on top of that, New Year's morning, guess what I got greeted with?
Oh boy.
My car was broken into. Um, we were at a hotel, we were in Virginia, and it really wasn't that big a deal because there was nothing of value in the car, and they didn't take anything. The only thing that was a big deal was that we had to try to tape up the window so that we could get back to Alabama. And my son had to sit in the back of the car with that broken window. But I just took the what really got me, though, was that the manager of the hotel did nothing to try to there were 5 of us who all had our cars broken into in the parking lot of that hotel, and, the manager didn't offer us shop vac from the maintenance department, didn't offer any services of the maintenance department to help us get our windows taped up. Yeah, they didn't say anything to us, nothing. It was that was kinda weird.
Well, and I guess they always have the scapegoat at the hotels, where it's like, lock your cars and everything, because even if they break in your goddamn car, we're not going to do anything.
Right, right. The police were there. It was the police that actually told me that my car had been broken into.
Oh wow. So the police knew before you even knew.
Yeah, because there were 5 cars that were broken into, and someone else had discovered one of the other cars, and so, the police were called about that car, and they were sitting in the parking lot. I came down before my husband and my son were ready to go, and I wanted to put my granddaughter's birthday presents into a gift bag for her, so I went to the back of the car to do that, and I only saw the left side of the car, and they broke the window on the right side of the car, so while I was in the back of the car doing some stuff, the police officer walked up to me and said, "Did you know your car was broken into?" And I said, "What?" And he showed me. I didn't even notice until the police officer showed me.
Is it what?
And thank you very much for the super chat, Atheist Cats, who says, "Insert funny line here and try to cheer everyone up." Hey, $20 is a good way to cheer me up. I'm going to go buy something fun with that. I've gotta figure out what I'm gonna do, but I am going to do something fun with that. Probably go get some ice cream. I love ice cream. Ice cream always cheers me up.
Favorite flavor?
Anything with chocolate in it.
Yeah. Now you're talking.
Death by Chocolate by Kroger is one of my favorites.
Oh, I have had that. Oh, what's it? Oh shit. I just forgot the name of it. It's a very unique name. Double Dunker.
Mm,
Have you had that at Kroger?
no, I haven't.
Oh, d if you're a chocolate fan, look for Double Dunker. Oh my god.
I will have to look for that. Do you know what I bought my husband for an anniversary present this year?
No, but tell me.
DeBrand's chocolates.
Ooh, yeah.
There
Well,
is only one place on the face of the earth to get DeBrand's chocolates, and that's in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Well, actually, they for a while they had a store in Indianapolis as well, but the last I looked, that was gone. But anyway, yeah, I had DeBrand shipped here to Alabama from Fort Wayne.
yeah, that's that good shit. I love the brands. Oh, man.
There's 2 things I really miss from Fort Wayne. One is getting a sundae at DeBrand's. I would always get a dark chocolate cup with raspberry and dark chocolate topping and pecans, and the other is Cinema Grill. We lived, like, 1 mile from Cinema Grill. I loved Cinema
Oh,
Grill.
yeah, 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 yeah. It took me a minute to, think we're yeah, that's a very unique, idea to Fort Wayne, and it's yeah, it's awesome. I agree.
Mhm. And I always either had the barbecue chicken pizza or the, buffalo chicken pizza. I always had pizza.
Yeah, yeah, they do have good pizza. It's been a while since I've been there, but yeah, they now that you say that, they do have, good pizza.
Bill Castle says I'm making him hungry.
Hungry. Yep, we'll have to get, BFA, we'll have to get her some chocolate from Fort Wayne, as we call it, Fort Wayne.
Speaking of, Fort Wayne, that makes for a great transition for you to plug your conference that's coming up because I do plan to go to Fort Wayne for your conference so I can go to DeBrand and Cinema Grill.
Uh, pack it all in there. So let me pull up my calendar so make sure I get the dates right here. Because my luck is I'll give the wrong weekend. So go, and it is yeah. So see March, April, May. So May 13th through the 15th in
Okay.
Fort Wayne, Indiana, at the Allen County War Memorial Coliseum.
Sunday, Sunday, Sunday.
Sales.
And who are some of the speakers going to be at the conference?
So far confirmed. And was it 2 weeks ago? We started negotiations with a few more. But right now we have Seth Andrews, Dave Warnock, Dr. Yashua Bowen, um, Cynthia McDonald, T Jump. I'm missing one. I missed one. It'll come to me. But in other words, and like I said, we have I think it's 3 others that we've begun negotiations with, and then once it's confirmed, obviously we'll announce those then. But I think it's gonna be a great time. I think it's gonna work out because a lot of people now are more comfortable as far as the vaccines and the rate the rate at which the vaccines are working.
Mhm,
That
mhm.
people are finally realizing, oh, maybe I should get the fucking vaccine.
Yeah, yeah.
uh, so we have that, and of that group, Seth, Dave, and Josh are all releasing their brand new books within like 30 days of the date. So it's going to be,
Nice.
yeah.
Okay, Mage Grey Wolf has asked, "Do you think we could get a few of those guys to promote Lavender Lady's charity?" The charity that he's referring to, Lavender Lady needs a kidney transplant, and there are a number of people that are working together to get some funds. Now, the kidney transplant itself will be covered by Medicare, but some of the things that will not be covered are she needs somebody to stay with her because she lives alone and she needs someone to take care of her while she's recovering from surgery. She needs transportation to and from doctor appointments to and from the hospital. Now, Purple Rhymes with Orange is going to go out there and do a lot of that, but Purple has a long trip to make. And so some of this is to cover Purple's costs in driving out to where Diana is and then taking care of Diana. I am making a transgender scarf for the auction that's going to take place. I'm not sure when the auction is, but I need to find out where to send this scarf for the auction to
Yeah,
raise money for that.
yeah, anything like that. Um, I tell everybody if we're helping people, I'll do everything I can that's humanly possible. So whether it's myself helping to endorse or putting it in front of uh, creators or influencers that have a bigger following than I do, but I have a good relationship with. Like I have no problem doing that. I just a lot of people, or I'm sorry, a lot of times people don't. We talk, but they never get me the information. I'm just being transparent. They never get me the information that I or those that I do talk to that could help that we would need to be able to endorse and promote and do all this. So if I'm left empty-handed, there's not much I can do, to be a help.
Mhm, mhm,
Yeah, so just give me the info. I love helping. I love helping people. I just need I need the give me the tools. Give me the tools and I'll execute.
mhm. Either Purple or Mage, put a link in the chat, please, with the where people can donate for Diana's charity. That would be helpful. Okay, now we've spent the first hour setting up some of the issues that we are navigating. And one of the things that we talked about is the need for community. And especially as atheists, we do not have that built in community that the religious have. One of the things that I have thought about is with the death of my dad, had I still been going to church, my church probably would have brought us meals for a week. I probably would have gotten some flowers from the church. I would have gotten a few cards from people who were in Sunday school class with me, things like that. As is, I got one card. That's it. But part of that is because I don't have. I'm not a very social person, and I don't have many close friends. The one card I got was from my boss. I have a volunteer job, and my boss at my volunteer job sent me a card. Um,
Good for him. I
her.
mean that. Or I'm sorry. Good. Sorry. I thought you said it earlier. Yeah, good on her. Like for doing that, even though it's a volunteer or whatever. That's. I always love hearing coming from corporate America. I always love when bosses are taking the time to do stuff like that. I think that's awesome.
hmm Thanks. So, what else can we as a community do to support one another so that we can navigate these things without the community of a church?
Uh, yeah. I think the first thing that we have to do is individually, especially those that grew up in church or you know um, really spent a decent amount of our time in church until we came to where we're at now, is realize that religion or Christianity, whatever, they don't own they don't own community. They don't own togetherness. They don't own uh, being part of a team. They don't own that. There's no ownership of that, and it's okay for us as skeptics, as non-believers, the nuns or the atheists. It's okay for us to build that. It's okay, and I struggled with that at first. I was like, well, I don't want to do what they do. Fuck that shit. Brr. And I realized that over time, it's like, well, no. I mean, people have communities and have teams and whatever, have communication with lots of people at a time based on like sports, like a team that throws a fucking ball around. Like there's communities in followings or whatever you want to call it, just based on human beings throwing balls at each other.
hmm
So if they can do that, for the love of everything their God says, we can do that. They don't own it, and I think so first individually coming to that conclusion where it's first of all it's okay. Like
hmm
we're not acting like a church. We're not doing that. We don't have dogmatic beliefs, and we're not giving you 10 commandments, and we're not doing all that. I think that's the first thing. Is acknowledging that, and then Um, I I I also think that, uh, that we, especially those that come out of religion, we have to, get to the place where we we know that I can actually Granny, I can actually be authentic. I can
Mm.
actually
Mhm,
I can actually
mhm.
be me. I can actually be myself, and if I do, like, specifically for, for me, I this bald-headed, tattooed, crazy looking motherfucker, I can be emotional, I can show tears, I can be raw, I can be real, and I don't have to worry about being judged or somebody using that to try to manipulate me or, trying to convince me of something that I don't need to be, convinced of. And I think if we just start there, I mean, it sounds very, elementary, but I think that's where you have to start. You have to start elementary, right? You have to start at the basics. Is it's okay to have the community, and within this community that we promote and endorse that it's okay to not be okay sometimes, and be emotional or be pissed off or be whatever it is, but to have that place to be able to talk and share and it all be raw. I think that's where we have to start anyway. Hopefully that makes sense.
I actually did get into an atheist group that I think would have been that for me at this time, but for the pandemic. Because our group met at a bagel store, and when everything shut down for the pandemic, of course, we stopped meeting. And when things started opening back up, the pandemic wasn't open and the group still has not met. And I get a text message from them once every week saying that the weekly meeting is canceled. And I don't know if that group will ever get together again. I hope they do because there were some good people there, and I enjoyed going to that meeting. But yeah, the pandemic has really made it difficult for people to have community. Okay, I'm curious about Aunt Jer's comment. Do you remember Aunt Jer's comfort casserole delivery idea?
I do, but, Andrew, if I butcher this, please please correct me because my ADHD memory is not, it doesn't always, stream in 1080 HD, let's say that. Um, but it was, basically along the lines of what you were talking about, Granny, where, when you have that local community, when you're in church, that
Mhm,
whether it's, if you have a family member that passes away or maybe, um, somebody has a baby or, whatever it is where people bring meals is still having that, but identifying where different people live, right? And being able to deliver that with the message, with the casserole or what have you, that is not a God message, it's just a message of encouragement, and, um yeah, just wanting people to be happy or, console or, whatever it is in that moment. Congratulations if it's a baby, and that we have those people. We find people in different cities that would want to participate in something like that, where if something does happen and you're within a whatever mile range, if I remember what Andrew, how Andrew spelled it out, that way we can still do those things to contribute to and help and
mhm.
support those in the atheist or skeptic community, and it not we don't need we don't need the God or the religion or the church or the pastor to tell us to go do that shit.
That sounds like a pretty cool idea.
And I'm
Um,
I'm I'm sure there's at least a piece or 2 that I butchered, Andrew, so I apologize if I did.
the biggest problem is organization. Nope, Aunt Jer says, "Nailed it."
Yeah. Thank you, medication.
Mm. Yeah, I think that sounds like an absolutely fantastic idea, and I actually would be interested in doing something like that myself. I love to cook, and I wouldn't mind driving an hour in just about any direction. Um, an hour and a half, I can get to Nashville or Birmingham, so I could cover a pretty good distance. But most atheists in my area are closet atheists. It's hard to even find them.
Yeah. Oh, well, because you're, do you share on your channel where what state you live in?
Yeah, yeah. I live in Alabama. I've mentioned that I live in Huntsville, Alabama. I've done some political things that were specific to Alabama politics.
Okay. That's what I was gonna ask. I was like, "Oh, I better ask before I say that."
Yeah, yeah, I get that. I get that.
Yeah. Oh, Alabama, Alabama and, I think Tennessee are like the buckle belts of the Bible Belt, or I'm sorry, the
Mhm.
buckles to the belt of the Bible Belt. Yeah.
I do think that Mississippi is gotta be the worst.
Oh,
I drove out to see Junk Shop and Julie and, Scientist Mel, who all live in the same city, and they're only a few hours away. So we got together for dinner one night, and I had to drive through Mississippi to get there, and until I drove through there alone, I did not realize how nervous I would be just to be an atheist in Mississippi.
wow. I didn't know it was that much worse there.
It is because right now they are going through trying to change their flag to put "In God We Trust" on it.
Mm,
Um, there's, a lot of billboards and ads, for Jesus everywhere, and it just I don't know, just I'm just uncomfortable in the state of Mississippi.
wow. Yeah, oh, that yeah, 'cause okay, that makes sense. Well, I'm thinking of their flag before, and that makes sense why. That would be actually make it even more, yeah, even more difficult. Okay, so I get it.
Mhm. Alabama is actually becoming a little bit more atheist friendly. In 2022 or in 2021, atheists got the right to vote in Alabama.
Wait, huh?
Or was it 2020? I forget whether it was 2020 or 2021. The years kind of run together at my age. But yes, it was just within the last 2 years that to when you registered to vote, you had to sign something swearing that everything that was on your voter registration was the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God. And if you crossed off the words "so help me God," your voting application was rejected. And so some atheists sued the state of Alabama for the right to vote without having to swear to God that they were telling the truth. Um, and the court ended up they ended up just giving in and giving them the right because they knew they were gonna lose this in court. There was no way they were going to win this one. I didn't even know about this until I saw it from Hemet Meta. Hemet covered this. But yeah, it was only in the last year or 2 that atheists can now vote without having to swear to God that they're telling the truth on their voting applications.
That's fucking crazy. I didn't know. Holy shit. Yeah, that's nuts. That's nuts. Yeah, so as far as the, like navigating the difficult shit in life without a God, the other thing that I have to, uh, I would I would kick myself in the ass if I didn't say this before we do end. Find find a please, and I don't care if you think you're the most normal individual walking around on this planet, find a therapist. Therapy, oh, man. Just keeping it real, granny, between, uh well, the entire community, like, the last 6 months has been fucking amazing and so supportive and loving, to me, and I always, I give, props or honor where where honors due, but, like, Pasta Mike and Dr. Josh, those are my 2 best friends, and, like, those are my homies, and we talk all the time, and I talked to Josh earlier today for hour and a half, like, those are my dudes, and they were the epitome of what a friend should look like, behave, act, all of that, going through everything, even up till, today, and demonstrating their friendship, their loyalty, all of that. And all of that is important. Like you want to be able to have that community. So I don't want to keep beating that drum because that needs to be there and be present. But guess what? Dr. Josh and Pasta Mike are not. They're not professionals. They're great guys to talk to, and they're great guys that show me the best they know how as friends, how much they love me, care about me, want the best for me, and that in and of itself means a ton. When you're going through shit like that, to know people in your corner, they're rooting you on, they're cheering you on, all that. Um, but if it wasn't for that and having a professional in my life to help me navigate it responsibly, like navigate all this and decision making and learning to deal with certain emotions and certain feelings. And when I'm feeling like this, uh, what do I do if I'm feeling like this? And how should I process this information when I'm feeling like this? Because maybe this anger or this bitterness is skewing this, which is making it harder um, it's making it harder to be rational when dealing with this person or this situation, whatever. And having that professional insight and that professional help is so fucking important. And if you don't have that person, if you don't have a secular slash even atheist um, therapist, either go to secular therapy project or what's the one, the not leaving religion.
Oh, I know which one you mean. Oh gosh, I can't think of the name of it either. Recovering from religion.
Thank you. Recovering from religion.com or org, sorry. Or just email me austin at tart.live, and I have a list of secular slash atheist therapists that I can get you in contact with, that I've vetted, that I've talked to, and one of them's my therapist. And uh, she's a goddamn boss. She's a former Christian, now atheist, and she's a goddamn boss. And I wouldn't be where I'm at as far as just being able to operate and cope and move through all of these things as well as I have anyway, without the community, but especially without her and her professional, holding my hand. As a professional, holding my hand through this, and I have no problem saying that she's held my hand through the entire time and helped walk me through it. So,
And you bring up something that actually is a bit difficult for me. Sometimes I'm not very good at processing my own feelings because I am so accustomed to suppressing them. And that is, you talked a little bit earlier about how freeing it was to be out of religion, and it was so much so for me. And the therapist that I see, she is a Christian, but she totally gets why I cannot be and am not, and she's perfectly good with that. But for me, a big part of Christianity was putting on a big charade for everyone and trying to pretend that everything was fine and dandy because I have Jesus. So therefore, everything is fine and dandy in my life, especially when I was with family who were unbelievers. I could not show them that there were any problems because we Christians don't have problems. Everything is fine and dandy all the time.
well, and Granny, if I may, I'll say this. I'll just be the spark plug to this, and then you can go off and preach. You can go off and preach, because this is one thing I know, whether it's from was with my mom, my grandmothers. Everything you just said is 100% accurate, dead on. But then I would double down. I would double down and say that when you are when you're a woman in the Christian church, there's no time for you to express emotions. There's no time for you to share those things and share about how you feel about certain things or whatever, because you need to be superwoman. You need to take care of the home. You need to take care of, if you work, take care of your job. You need to cook. You need to clean. Take care of the kids. You do all this. You don't have time, Granny, to actually be a human being. You need to be a god robot and mind your manners.
I actually used to get up every morning and tell myself, I am not a person. I do not have feelings. I do not have desires. I am not a person. I used to tell myself that every morning so that I could serve my family and serve everyone around me and ignore anything that I might want for myself.
So you just demonstrated everything I just said. Holy shit. That's and that's one of the reasons, there's many, but it's one of the reasons I say, especially Christianity, like fuck Christianity, like the way I've adopted this over the last, especially the last, I'd say 6 months or whatever. The more I'm reading, the more I'm studying and really understanding even the ancient text. And for those that know, that even Dr. Josh, like we have a stream, I'm learning to read and write ancient Sumerian, and it's like, man, I'm just gonna put it out there. If you were a woman or you're a part of a minority group, whatever minority group, doesn't matter, part of a minority group, and you claim to be a Christian, I want to talk to you. Because how the fuck do you hold that belief? That God is not, he's not cool with you. He's not cool with you. He does not like you.
Mhm.
And it
Mhm.
blows my mind.
Mhm.
Oh, Biddy Buddha's here. Uh-oh. Now the party's gonna start. Biddy Buddha's here.
Well, we are getting toward the end of our time, and so I think it's getting a little late to start into any new topics, but I'm going to go ahead and let you shill for when you gave your plug for your conference, there were about 14, 15 people here, and there's 23 here now. So there's several people who did not hear it. So I'll let you plug the conference again and let us know what's coming up on Tang.
Yeah, well, first of all, again, Granny, thanks for inviting me on, and I enjoyed this conversation. And anytime you're doing anything like this around these topics, I actually prefer talking about this stuff than philosophy or creation or anything, because this matters in real life. This matters
Mhm.
in real time, So anytime, never hesitate. I'd love to help. And same thing for you. If you ever see anything we're doing, let me know. We'll get you on there. You're always welcome.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yes. So for better or for worse, for better, so it's going to be May 13th through the 15th, 2022 in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And we have Seth Andrews and Dr. Joshua, or sorry, Dr. Yashua. I've been fucking with him saying that. Dr. Yashua Bowen, that's coming. Dave Warnock, Cynthia McDonald, T Jump, and I'm missing more right now. And we're working on several others. But it's going to be an amazing weekend. It's going to be awesome. We'll have a bunch of fun, and there's going to be a lot of great content there. As far as things coming up, well, the first thing I'll say is, and you see in the chat there, where'd she go? Anyway, I don't see her there, but there she is. Black female atheist, aka Jenna, and I started a show last night, chopping it up with Jenna and Oz on the Atheist Network group. That'll be every 2 weeks on Tuesdays at 10 p.m. Eastern time. So check that out. for sure. And then Sunday nights at 8 p.m. on the Biddy Buddha channel. Check that out. She's part of the Tang Gang. And if you want to, if you feel froggy, if you're feeling froggy, it's 9:30. So here in about an hour, on the Atheist Network group, we're going to be reviewing a Braxton Miller video. If you know who that is, he's an apologist. I call him a doucher. He's an apologist, Christian apologist, and he's going to tell he and his little buddy are going to tell all of us former Christians that we did not earn our disbelief. We did not earn our deconstruction. So if you want to hear Oz go the fuck off, that's probably a good time to hear it.
Very good. Very good. I want to know when God earned the right to have me in the first place.
Boom. Boom, roasted, as we say on Tang.
Yep. Okay, and what I have coming up on my channel is this week, at Robin's request, I did a response to the conversation between Jordan Peterson and Ben Shapiro on the new C4 law in Canada that bans conversion therapy. When Robin first asked me to take that one on, I was, really? You want me to take on Jordan Peterson talking about psychology? But then when I got into it, I realized, no, he's not really talking about psychology. He's talking about law, which is my area of expertise. So I went ahead and took it on, and I finished recording the video this morning. I haven't finished editing yet. It'll take me another day to finish editing it. And I'm really glad Robin asked me to do it, because even though it was a little bit difficult to do, it really came out much better than I expected. I thought this was going to be a tough project and I was going to be falling all over it, but it actually, this happens a lot, that I start on a project and I go, oh, this is so disjointed. I don't know. And then all of a sudden it all comes together.
Awesome.
Yep. So that's coming up, and that will get released either Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, depending on how long it takes me to finish editing it. And then next week, there will be a stream, but it is going to be a community building stream. Right now, community is what I need. And, obviously, I am not alone. The pandemic is not over. We're all still huddled in our homes and we need it. And so it's just going to be a group of whoever wants to join. And I think the Black female atheist will be there. If she's not, she's going to be there the following week. And we're just going to have a bunch of friends hang out and build community together.
She's trouble. She's trouble. That one. She's trouble.
And the link to Oz's channel is in the description to this video. So if you are not subscribed to Oz, please go and subscribe to the Atheist Roundtable. Let's see. I think someone put in a link to Diana's charity, and so if you want to give to that, that will be there. I love Auntjorda's idea. Maybe we can run with that at some point. And I thank everyone in the chat for coming. You all have been wonderful. You've all been supportive. It has been really great to hear so many of you that were able to support Oz and I, because we are both going through some rather tough things right now, and this has really been good for I think for all of us. And we got a super sticker from Bill Castle. Thank you, Bill Castle, for the super sticker. I appreciate that.
Oh shit.
Okay, and with everyone, thank you for joining us, and live your life.